I started Beautiful Bourbon by accident. On September 2nd, 2019, I took my first photo, and things kind of snowballed from there. Now more people see the Bourbcasts each week, and I continue to find myself in the blissful intersection of bourbon and photography. I'm KC, and I welcome you to enjoy this taste of beautiful bourbon.
Hey, I really tried to be here on time. It didn't quite work out that way. Sorry for the delays, but we're here now, and we're going to get a little bit of a cockfight happening. Cockfight! We're going to be doing the Chicken Cock Bourbon and the Chicken Cock Rye. We're going to do both of them, because why not? Just one of those things, you know, the evening got away from me, and I realized that I hadn't showered yet today, and I needed to do that, and for goodness sakes, I can't even see the perf on this thing. But that seems to be par for the course, you know. Oh, there it is. Sometimes you just got to look at it in the right light. The right light. Okay, so there's the bourbon. Chicken Cock, that was a fun one to research. That one actually got started way back a long time ago. That's the rye. Now, I don't know which was the original product, whether it was the, hey Kevin, how are you, man? I don't know if it was the bourbon or the rye. I want to guess, just because I know a little bit about whiskey heritage, I'm going to be willing to guess that the rye may have been the original Chicken Cock product. Could be wrong. I've been wrong before. The website, all the places that I researched it, didn't really say which was first, the chicken or the egg, so to speak. Get it? Chicken? Chicken cock? Okay. So it started in 1856. James Miller put together a distillery in Paris, Kentucky, right in the heart of bourbon country, and then he died. Basically is how it worked out. But George G. Miller was a clerk that worked for him, and he revived it or kept it going, and ended up renaming the distillery G.G. Miller. Miller? I'm sorry, G.G. White. G.G. White Distillery. And Chicken Cock was, you know, a big brand for James Miller. He started this thing, and then George came out and he kept it going, but then he named it the old J.A. Miller Chicken Cock is what he called it. I will tell you that this is one of those whiskeys that's just difficult for me to discuss. I feel like I'm being filthy-mouthed, and I don't like to be filthy-mouthed. Hey, Jay, how are you? You know, it is what it is. You know, when you're shooting archery, the lead feather is called the cock feather. When you're shooting pheasants or hunting pheasants, you want to go after the cock bird. It's chicken cock. Doesn't mean I like it, but it is what it is. I will try to get past that just for you. Okay, my virgin ears, my virgin mouth. All right, so not long after the distillery was named G.G. White Distillery, they started doing shipping. And they got it down the Mississippi to New Orleans, and from New Orleans, the world was your oyster. Get it, New Orleans? Oyster? I'm sorry. It's gonna be that kind of night, all right? New Orleans is where I had my first oysters. A place called Felix's. Oh. I went back again, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years ago. I had the char-grilled oyster. I had this lady come up to me and she goes, "Yakos?" I'm like, She goes, "Yakos." I said, "Do I like these?" "No." I said, "Yeah. Yeah, try char-grill." What? "Yeah, try char-grill." She was as Cajun can be. She came from Baton Rouge. And I've known people from Baton Rouge, and yeah, their accents can be thick, but she was thick, like thickety thick. And I said, I'm still not catching. She goes, cha, gee, as if that slowing it down made it any better. So then somebody across the counter who was actually shucking my oyster said, she says char grilled. Oh, are they good? Yeah, they're good. Lovely lady. Quite lovely, as a matter of fact. Could not understand a word she was saying. God bless her. So, anyhow, I did end up trying the char grilled, and I'm going to tell you what. They were probably the best oysters I have ever had in my life. They were, imagine the best barbecued chicken, grilled chicken, not with the sauce on it, not barbecue sauce and all that crap, just on the grill with maybe vinegar and butter and Worcestershire sauce as the marinade. Oh, them with some good oysters. I've had a lot of great oysters. I love oysters, but those char grilled oysters, I can still taste them a decade later. I digress. I apologize. Let's pour while we talk. Oops, I made the mistake. See, I forgot to bring down my handy dandy ice thing, so they're just going to sit there and do that. And now that's going to do that. All right, so we're going to get this poured. We're going to start off with the bourbon, which is this one. So anyhow, so it started to go around the world. It's plenty for a first taste. That glass is going to be a little cold too. So we'll just do that. Hopefully not to spill. So it started to go around the world. It started to get very, very popular. Hey, Zach. Hey, Teresa. Thanks for watching. This is so cool that you guys come along and watch me do this. It's so much fun. So it went to New Orleans, and it started to go around the world, and the next thing happened, which has happened to me. Something catches fire. They think it's a great idea, and then somebody copies it. They counterfeited it. They started counterfeiting chicken cock. Put labels on it and everything. Bottles were similar shape, everything. And I mean, it was bad. I mean, sometimes it wasn't even real whiskey. Or they'd pour in something like, vodka just to give it an alcohol taste, and then they'd put in prune juice. Or even worse yet, they'd mix it with, get this, tobacco spit. Just to get the color. Shake it up, sell it. They get it home, taste it, drink somebody's spit. So, but that's what they would do. Well, the white company ended up doing lawsuits, and they won, which was good, but it was just the first step. So what happened was, 8 years later, Congress got on board. All these distillers got on board, and they started lobbying Congress, and they created the Bottled in Bond Act, which lent some legitimacy to bourbon. So no more prune juice in bottles or anything like that, passing it off as whiskey. So chicken cock and others really started to proliferate during that time. As a matter of fact, Duke Ellington liked chicken cock. It was a big staple during Prohibition. It was sold at the Cotton Club in Harlem, and that was just one place out of many. But Duke Ellington says in his memoirs, and I quote, it says he called it a good whiskey, and back then it would go for $10 to $14 a pint, which would be about $140 today for a pint. But he liked it. He liked it. So they would smuggle chicken cock into these speakeasies in these tin cans. And then they'd pull the can off and reveal the bottle of chicken cock, and they'd pour it, and of course, illegal. Well, as Prohibition got underway, Chicken Cock is one of the companies that didn't do so well during Prohibition. There were 10 distilleries throughout the U.S. that were granted a permit to sell their liquor medicinally, only 10. And this was not one of them. So what ended up happening was a Canadian company bought them, and they started doing their spirit, whether it was rye or bourbon. I'm going to guess it was probably rye. They did that in Canada for a little while. Towards the end of Prohibition, it sold back to a company in the U.S., and they finally got a permit to do medicinal whiskey. Well, then Prohibition ended, and they were no longer stocked. They didn't have barrels and barrels and barrels of aged whiskey to sell. And the first whiskey that came out was either unaged, or what was the other word they used? It'd be 4 years before it'd be ready for anybody. It wouldn't even be good then. Barely aged or replaced with unaged bourbon. And the quality was no bueno, and the popularity of whiskey sank as a result. So that's what happened to Chicken Cock. It languished for a number of years, trying to get back on its feet, but not being one of the companies that was able to do well during Prohibition, it was tough. And they ended up folding sometime in the 1950s. 61 years later, a gentleman by the name of Matty Antilla discovered the brand and brought it back to life. Now, I don't know how much of the original recipe even survived. This may be something completely different. Word is that some of this may be sourced out of MGP in Indiana. But Bardstown has gotten involved, and I guess they're making some of the bourbon there, and then Chicken Cock is aging it the way they age it. So I don't know how much of this is like the original Chicken Cock, if any of it. But in 2017, it started winning a lot of awards, like double golds in different places like that. So we're going to try it. And we're going to pretend that it's the same one that's been around for over 160 years. Okay. This is purported to have been aged for 8 years, which gives it a lot of promise in my book. Its mash bill is 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley. So we've got it sitting in the glass. I've already done poured it. Let's give it the spin. Spinny, spinny, spinny. All right. Okay, the ethanol is strong on the nose. Vanilla came out real jumpy. Cinnamon. This is not a timid nose. So with Eagle Rare, like a couple of weeks ago, I was like sticking my nose down in the glass. Where is it? And I love Eagle Rare. It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite, that is easily found or somewhat easily found. This one is not timid at all. The ethanol's coming out. Slight peppery sense to it. I like this nose. This nose is a lot. That barley is standing out. I'm getting a nut, like maybe a hazelnut. I need my flavor wheel. We need to look at the flavor wheel because it's been a long time since we've looked at the flavor wheel. All right, so just the nose, when I look at this flavor wheel, I'm finding myself in more of the savory territory, to be honest. At least that's the way it feels. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a sweet aromatics where I'm getting my vanilla and my caramel. I don't know. Maple syrup, maybe. Butterscotch, maybe. Honey is definitely there. So I guess we're in the sweet aromatics more than the spice, more than that savory. I kind of had the feeling that I'd be over in the savory more, but I'm not. So we'll just say that this is the sweet aromatics. I really ought to kind of maybe turn this chart over because I'm never on the side that's right side up. I always have to read it upside down. Luckily for you, I'm that good. I can read upside down and backwards. My grandmother, God rest her soul, could say the alphabet backwards as quickly as you can say it forwards. ZYXW. I can't even go beyond that. I can't even go beyond that. But she could do it, just rattle it right off. Useless skill, but maybe they taught it back then. I don't know. Okay, so before we get any further, I want to read what others have said about it. Whiskey Wash said apples on the nose. Oh, maybe if I force myself. Red licorice, no. Red hot candies, no. But then again, I haven't had Red Hot's candies in a really long time because I don't like them. Sugar-free gummy bears. If this does to me what sugar-free gummy bears does to people, I shouldn't be drinking it. Look it up. Look it up. Google it. All right, so that's what they say about it. Smells a little chemically sweet, but not unpleasant. Okay, I can agree with that. The chemical sweet, I agree with that. Let's see. Breaking Bourbon says the aroma is basic, common. I disagree. This is bold. This is a bold aroma. Vanilla, caramel, little oak, and a trace of ethanol. Yes. Pleasant and inviting. I don't know if pleasant and inviting is the same thing as bold. Let's try it. I did something different that time. I was watching a video today, and it was a guy from Buffalo Trace who said that you should hold that first dram right on the tongue and at your lips. Okay, I did that. So let's take an actual sip now. It's the ethanol is not so strong that it has a long bloom on the tongue. It just kind of sits there, but it's there. It doesn't kick you in the butt on the way down. It is spicy. I got to say that rye content, what did I say it was? 21% rye. That's kind of a higher rye. I would say that high rye, for me, is giving it a bit of a spiciness to it. It doesn't have the typical rye notes. It doesn't give me that creamy, buttery feel on the mouth. Matter of fact, the mouth feel is a little bit thin, but not so much that you would say, "Oh, this mouth feel is thin," but it is a little bit. It's 90 proof. I'm not getting the cereal notes that I would normally get off of a rye. This is making me really interested in this rye. I will tell you that. Let's try this one more time. That's a strange thing. That's a strange flavor. And I don't mean that in any kind of negative way. When I did the slurp that time, I actually caught the sweetness of strawberries. That's a first. I will say there's a little bit of tobacco in there for me. Maybe the strawberries is the light part of the fruit. There's also a dark fruit in it, maybe a prune, which harkens back to how they made chicken cock with prune juice, right? Its legs are actually more pleasant than the rest of it. The legs are fruity and pleasant and delicate, and it's got a bit of a floral quality to it. I like the finish a lot. There have been other ones that I've had recently that the finish was the worst part. In this case, I think the finish is the best part. This is one of those that you can have a sip of and then let it sit for a couple of minutes while you enjoy the experience you're having. It's still there. The finish is still there. It's a very long finish. It's not diminishing anytime soon. That's not to say it's syrupy or honeyish or anything like that. It's not like it's viscous. But that's a terrible way to describe a bourbon, viscous. But those legs are just holding on. I didn't bring any water down with me, so I can't do it on water. Again, I was in a big rush just trying to get ready and get around. So we're going to do it over this, and we're going to do it over ice. So let me get that ice ball out. It has dilute. You know what? I got water in the glass. See how that works? Ingenuity. Let's try it. That mellowed that way out. Any heat that was in there, any spice that was in there is gone. Now, I didn't have a lot of this left in the glass, so that could be me being unfair. But that tobacco hint still comes around, that leafy hint, the vanilla sticks with it. Let's see what others say, shall we? All right, Whiskey Wash on the palate says, surprise to me. This is a little bigger than I would have thought initially and more complex than I initially gave it credit for. Seems like an oldish brand in a way. You know what? My computer's about to die because I didn't plug it in. I did plug it in. It's just that the power strip was off. There, I took care of that. All right, Kevin, I'm getting that. I'm getting on the finish. Red coin licorice like old school candy. I didn't catch licorice, and I don't think I would have liked it because I don't like licorice very well. I'm going to just, Kevin, because you say so, I'm just going to give it another little try here. Just a little. Just enough to give me that finish. I love, Kevin, that you sit there and you drink with me. I love that you have the same thing that I have and that you do this with me. That was the whole point of doing this. Since during COVID we couldn't get together, we can do it this way. And eventually, again, we will start having more guests. The weather doesn't look so good out there. I think it might rain, and the forecast isn't really, I don't know. So we'll just do it here in the dungeon. All right. All right, so I only had a little teeny tiny bit. I'm getting that candy note that you're talking about, Kevin. I'm getting it. Boy, that took some searching, though. Huh. I can see it. I still don't get Red Hots. But that sweet Twizzler style red licorice stuff, I get it. All right. Let's go ice. I get it. That's a good call. I'm not going to do a whole lot. Just a little bit. Oh, a little more than that. Come on, Casey. For crying out loud. Don't be such a sissy. Ouch. Ouch. Shit. Ouch. Sorry. I pinched my finger between the cork and the bottle. That takes coordination right now. I remember I was in a band. I used to play in a band. I was a drummer. And should I tell this story? Oh, I don't know if I should tell this story. I'll tell the story. So my bassist was putting down the microphone stand. He was a tall dude. He was like 6'7". He was stupid tall. Big tall guy. That doesn't matter. It's not part of the story. It's just a recollection. Anyway, he was twisting the microphone stand, and the top, he wasn't thinking, it just went, boom, came down and just caught him right there. And it cut him, and he was bleeding. Come on, really? And okay. And he remarked that it would put an end to his evening by himself. Can I just stop at that? I'm just going to stop right there. Yeah. Okay. It gave us a whole new line of colloquialisms for private time. I'll get done with this and maybe I'll share them with you. They're funny. Okay. The sweeter, candier side of it comes out on ice for sure. This is not one of my elegant clear ice balls. This is one of my gross ones, but I needed to get them used. And this is just chicken cock. It's not like it's a premium bourbon. Or is it? It's up to you to decide. Somebody was talking about the hype. Remember on Tuesday we talked about the hype surrounding Blanton's? Somebody online was talking about the hype surrounding Blanton's. Is this worth the hype? And I gave him a link to the video. I said, go back and watch it. We talk about that. And we do. The hype is what you want it to be. If you think that that bourbon is worth the hype, then hype it. If you don't think that it is, then don't talk about it. But don't pee on somebody else's cornflakes because they like it. That's one of the things. There's one guy in one of the groups that I follow that hates Blanton's. Not because the fact that it tastes good or bad or whatever, but because he thinks it's overly hyped. So he bashes on Blanton's every time he gets the opportunity. It's like, stop it, dude. Somebody likes it. I like it. It may not be up to the hype, but you know what? It's pretty fun looking for it. So quit harshing somebody else's buzz. That candy sweetness definitely comes out of her ice. Tobacco is still there for me. A little bit of leather on the ice. Some of the aromatic pieces of it, like the cinnamon and the vanilla and all that was there neat, dissipates on ice. It's still a good drink. I like it better neat, and even neat, it's not outstanding. I do like it, but I don't know that it lives up to its own hype. There for a while, people were kind of going a little bit crazy on Chicken Cock. Oh, look what I got! I don't know that it's worth all that. Kevin says, first straight, second on ice, third water. I really enjoy the straight. Would only really drink it that way. I didn't get the rye. Well, Kevin, I did. So I'm going to get out a fresh glass. I love these little glasses. These are vintage. You can't find these anymore. I got them on Etsy. They're that nice smoked. This is an old-fashioned glass. It's just really small. This may be a 4 or 5 ounce glass. You saw, that it fits the ice sphere in it, but not very well. You can't pour anything else around it. This is perfect for a neat dram. So, and it's just gorgeous. That smokiness is gorgeous. So, we're going to move the bourbon down and move this little gorgeous smoky glass up. There. The stuff I have to do to set it up so you can see it, I'm not going to show you. I'm not showing you. All right, so this is the rye. I'm really anxious to tell you the difference, especially Kevin, since you didn't buy any. I didn't taste it. I tried to taste it. I didn't taste it. All right, set that there. Maybe I should try to. Can you see it? Just barely. Okay, I might be able to move things over just a little bit. Okay, this is the Chicken Cock Rye. Traditionally, I'm not great at going back-to-back tastings, but because it's a bourbon and a rye, this may be a good time to try. Test myself, see if my metal is there. That's a pretty big pour. All right, here we go. Straight. Right away, the bouquet for me is better. The rye bouquet, I didn't get any mash bill, I didn't get any tasting notes, I didn't get anything in that for the rye. This is all me, Bubba. So what you're going to get out of this is there's no help. I like the nose on this better than the bourbon. I'm getting that toasted cereal smell. Oh, that's just pleasant. Huh. That star anise, maybe a little cinnamon. Pumpkin. I caught pumpkin that time. How weird is that? I like this. This gives really good nose compared to the bourbon. The bourbon it was very fragrant, Don't get me wrong, and it had a lot of ethanol in that fragrance. This nose is altogether different. I'm sensing toffee, like a Werther's toffee. Let's go back to the flavor wheel. Now, substitute bourbon for rye here, okay? This is the rye. If I had to look at this one, I would not go into the woods. I would look more towards the grains. The cereal, I'm getting that for sure. Getting into the sweet aromatics, I do have some vanilla. I cannot claim the caramel for sure. Maple syrup, though, I will claim. Not getting the black pepper. Cinnamon, maybe a little bit. This spans this wheel, guys. This spans the wheel. Tobacco leaf, possibly. Spearmint, no. Anise, yes. Herbal, possibly. So we get up into the fruit and floral. I don't catch any of that. Geranium? No. So we get up into the wood and maybe some oak, but I'm not going to hang my hat on oak. There's so many other things going on in this. It's just the bouquet. This may be the one that I recommend. The bourbon was good. This may be better. Let's find out. My gosh, that's good. Wow. That's got a little bit of spearmint, menthol. This is crazy. Oh my gosh, is this good? That toasted cereal is there. There's a little bit of vanilla, some granola, which is the toasted cereal, but the raisins are there. This is good. This goes back to my original hypothesis that the original chicken cock had to have been a rye. Now, that doesn't mean that this is the chicken cock from the 1800s. This may have been sourced out of MGP. It may have been sourced out of Alberta. It's hard to say. But as far as ryes go, this is a really good one. Kevin, if you get the opportunity, pick up the rye. Yeah, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Keep the bourbon, do a taste test back to back. You're going to be surprised. They're so different. So different. There's no fruit. There's no strawberry, there's no prune, there's no fruit in this. Maybe a hint of mushroom, actually. There's a Japanese scientist that says that, we have what, 4 senses on the tongue? Sweet, sour, salty, and sweet? No, sweet, sour, salty, and I forget the 4th one. Sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. And there was a 5th sense that this Japanese scientist came up with. And he said that mushrooms inhabit this 5th sense on the tongue. And he said a word that loosely is translated into deliciousness. I can agree with the fact that mushrooms contribute deliciousness to anything they're in. I love mushrooms. And there's just something about this rye that's earthy that brings me a sense of mushrooms in it. That deliciousness of mushrooms. All right, so again, I didn't bring water, so we're not doing it with that. And it's only 90 proof either. Both the bourbon and the rye are both 90 proof. So it's not like we're jumping into any like high proof territory here. I did bring water because I've got the other ice ball, which has started to melt. But I have way too much water for the rye. So let's add a little more rye, because twist my arm. This is good. It's no secret that I have come to really like rye in these tastings. I like the Bullet Rye. I like the Michter's Rye. I like the Sazerac Rye, although that's barely a rye. I do like rye. Now let's add some water to it. That's a lot of water. This ice ball has really melted a lot. All right. Don't put it on water. The flavors stay. This is one of those ryes that is hearty enough that holds its flavor through the water. It takes out the zest. It takes out the zing, though. So drop the water. It's only 90 proof. You don't need it. The bourbon, somebody had, in my research online, somebody had said that the bourbon would be a good one for a mixer. I totally agree. If you're making a Manhattan or an Old Fashioned or a New York Sour or whatever else you want to make, the Chicken Cock Bourbon is a great choice for that. It's 90 proof. It's not going to hide. It's got a lot of flavor to it. The ethanol is present. But I would tell you to make a mixed drink out of the bourbon. The rye, drink it neat. All day long. Well, not if you have to go to work or drive somewhere. But the rye is delicious just the way that it is. Watered down, it actually has a beer connotation to it. It really does. It's kind of strange. I tasted beer in that. All right, so let's go with the ice ball. Little rye on ice. Not looking forward to this, to be truthful, because on neat and on water, it held itself up. It was really, really good. This rye is one I will buy again. The bourbon, I can't say I'll buy it again. I will take my time with it. I'll share it with others so they can get the experience. But I'm going to do the back-to-back experience, and I will be finding more of this rye because I do like it. All right. So far, by the way, you guys have been awful quiet about what you want me to do. Things you want me to improve, things you want me to change, and stuff you want me to taste. So, give. Tell me what you want me to do. This is just as much for me as it for you as it is for me. I put the order wrong. For you, for me. Ah. Okay. That's probably enough. Okay, so over ice, it takes on different qualities, but they are good qualities. Where the fruit was gone when I drank it neat and on water, there was a fruitiness that came back on ice. I've had enough now that I can't describe it. There are a few drinks out there that I will say are refreshing on ice. I don't look at bourbon and rye as refreshing. I don't. But occasionally, there's something about them when you put them on ice that just changes the character to the point where you're like, oh, that's really refreshing. I will say that this rye does that. It's the weirdest thing because on ice, it doesn't change that much, but there's something about it that's just yay. That beer quality came back. There's something about this that just gives it a beer quality on ice. So rye, I typically get the grains, the cereals, which is beer. It's liquid bread. So I kind of have the feeling that there's some similarities here. I don't know the mash bill of the rye. I don't know anything about this rye. There's stuff written on the back. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it because the writing is so small and my eyes are so bad. One of the oldest whiskey brands in the U.S., Chicken Cock, was established in 1856 in Paris, Bourbon County, Kentucky. I've already talked about that. 7 decades later, it was a staple of Prohibition-era speakeasies, including the world-famous Cotton Club, known as the famous old brand. Chicken Cock died off after World War II, but has now returned to its rightful place in the pantheon, it's a Greek word, maybe, of great American heritage whiskeys. Government warning. Doesn't say anything about MGP, so it's Grain and Barrel in Bardstown. So the thing that I found out about the partnering with Bardstown, they may have pulled out of MGP and partner with Bardstown more exclusively, which is not a bad thing. But MGP isn't a bad thing. They're doing some good stuff. I made a suggestion 2 weeks ago. Was that the gin, Kevin? Did I miss it? Did I do it? By the way, Joseph's had Rossville Union Barrel Proof on the shelf. Barrel Proof! Oh my. The Rossville Union, that's a rye that I really enjoyed. I liked that a lot. Go back and find that one. We did a Bourbcast on Rossville Union. It was really good. I liked it. This may be a better rye. As much as I like the Rossville Union, it was an OHLQ pick, a barrel pick. I may like this better. By the way, the Ohio Liquor Commission, OHLQ, has been doing all sorts of different barrel picks. Evidently, they've got a new one out for Bullet. So be looking for that, and be looking for the, I think it was the Woodford. There are several out there. I may be feeling this. I haven't had much to drink this week. My threshold may be diminishing some. I apologize in advance. The longer it sits on ice, the more it develops its fruit-like qualities. That last sip was almost wine-like. Strange. I like this. If you're going to pick up a chicken cock, get the rye. I think you'll be happier with the rye than you will the bourbon. This is really, really good. Get them both. Get them both. But get the rye and savor that stuff. I mean, look at the bottles. Just tonight I had more of the rye than the bourbon. It's because the rye I like better. I will buy more of this. So Kevin says bullet. There's an I in bullet, Kevin. Sorry, grammar Nazi. Can't help myself. Teresa says, looks like Chicken Cock Rye is available at Beverage Barn and Kroger on 6th. Teresa, I'm telling you, if you can get the rye, get the rye. It is definitely superior to the bourbon. The bourbon is a mixer. The rye is a neat drink. I really like that rye. Very, very tasty. So I would tell you to get that. If you can get it, get it. I bought both of these in different places in my travels, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to go back to back on both of them. I'm a bourbon fan. You know that. I really like the bourbon, but this one, the rye. Yeah, all day long. If there ever was an original recipe for chicken cock, I surmised that it might have been a rye. And if it was, this is probably delicious as it was back then, even if it's not the same thing. The taste is really there. The flavor is there. The rye is where it's at. Try them both. See if I'm wrong. Test me on this. It's not expensive. Find it, try it, test it out. See if I'm right. If I'm wrong, let me know. This video will be up forever. So comment, let me know what you think. I enjoy the debate. But for me, the rye is really where it's at. This is very, very good. So just so you know, I have been trying to lower my tolerance. It seems to have worked. I have not had much to drink this week. I had those Blantons on Tuesday. That was the first time I had anything since Saturday. So just a couple times this week. I'm trying to spread it out some. Want to get my liver enzymes where they belong. Now, don't think for a second that I've been monitoring my liver enzymes. But for those of you who are used to daily pour, maybe think about every other day. That's what I'm doing. That's why this is affecting me so much tonight. Talk to text. But they had the OHLQ pick 2. All right. So Bullet, he spelled it the way he spelled it because of talk to text. Fair enough. I will accept that. Talk to text is my nemesis. I do talk to text all the time. And on nights that I'm not drinking, it comes out pretty good. On nights that I am drinking, I get throughout my talk to text. Is funny. It's amusing. I enjoy it. It'll say things that I didn't say. I didn't say that. So I make sure to check it before I send it because it could be really bad. Well, anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. I do appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. The rye is where it's at. With Chicken Cock, the rye is where it's at. I'm gonna go because I think there's I can't even see. There it is. Yeah, there it is. So I will be taking this to another platform at some point because Facebook sucks. What's next up? Oh my. What's next up? Okay, so Kevin, you had a good question there. What's next up? I think we're going to do what we did this week, and we're going to try 2 things next Thursday. I don't have them in my hand. Give me a sec. I will go get them. Oh my God, I sound drunk as hell. Pardon me. I spilled stuff. That's no fun. All right, so like I said, my tolerance has really dropped, which is probably good. All right, so next week, next Thursday, we're going to go into a whole new territory. And I'm excited about it because I've heard nothing but good. Nothing but good. Everything has been just so glaringly positive towards Uncle Nearest. 1884 and 1856. I've got two of them. We're going to try them both next Thursday. This is cool for me because this is the first... My history may be wrong, and I don't want to get it wrong, but this, from what I understand, Uncle Nearest is the first minority-owned distillery. And while that doesn't mean anything as far as the flavor of the whiskey, I've heard that this whiskey is really freaking good. So I've got the small batch, which is the 1884, and the premium, which is the 1856. We're going to try them both next Thursday right here on Beautiful Bourbon. So if you have the opportunity, this is available everywhere. You can get this everywhere. Uncle Nearest is in your local liquor store. Go pick it up. Next Thursday, this is what we're having, and I want you to drink it with me. We're gonna go by date. So 56 has to be first. And 84 has to be second. Yeah. 56, 84. That'll be the order in which we do them next week. They are both... Let me put my glasses on so I don't mess this up. That's a premium whiskey. Oh, it's a Tennessee whiskey. So I may hate it. But we'll see. It's 100 proof. That's the 1856. The 1884 is a small batch, 93 proof. It's a blended whiskey. This will be interesting. I've heard nothing but good about Uncle Nearest. So we're going to do this next Thursday right here on Beautiful Bourbon. So, hey, thanks for watching. Your continued support and sharing and drinking along with me means a lot to me. This is fun, even though tonight my limit has been reached. Go the other way, premium last. Premium last? Premium last? So 56 last and 84 first? Okay. Pat, hey! How are you? Pat takes care of my energy bills. I'm glad you're here. You're at the very end, Pat, so you may want to hit rewind once this is over with. Anyway, so we'll do Uncle Nearest next week, and I've been looking forward to this one. I've had these bottles for a while, and I've been sitting on them, just waiting for the right opportunity to open them up. But when Kevin said, hey, what's next week? Just seemed like the right time. So go out, see if you can find the Uncle Nearest 1856 and the Uncle Nearest 1884. And we're going to be doing these next week. So come back. We'll see you then. Make sure you share this. Look at our Instagram, Beautiful Bourbon. Go to the blog, beautifulbourbon.com, which I really know I need to update. Oh my gosh, I'm so behind on that. I could be doing so much better. I could be an influencer. But no, I let it sit. We will see you next week. Maybe by tomorrow I'll be famous. Maybe I'll just eat eggs for breakfast. See you next week.